Swing the block with a 40. UPK, I die for it. Fake groups having noticed. These niggas ain't holy. These niggas don't know me. I don't fuck with the police. That would die in the rollie. Holy. Swing the block with a 40. UPK, I die for it. Fake groups having noticed. These niggas ain't holy. These niggas ain't holy. Watch out, these niggas phony. I heard them boys snitching, probably gonna tell on me. It's time to break these boys off. Home of the truth, and we follow every law. These niggas wanna be you, these niggas can't see you. Raised by righteous leaders, one West when you see you. Black boots, war scarf, black Nina. Nigga, I'm heated. Motherfuckers still sleeping. These niggas ride with heathen. UPK still teaching, no matter what season. Take ground, give me a reason. 1969, cross the line, lose your mind. Why you wanna lose your eye? Do it for the Prince of Power. Under General Yohana. Already no problem. Won't smoke, got it. My niggas like Piranha. And we told them top. These niggas need a doc.
Hey, V. Loud them up.
Bitch, I'm holy. These niggas don't know. I don't fuck with the police. That would die in the rollie. Holy. Swing the block with a 40. UPK, I die for it. Fake groups having noticed. These niggas ain't holy. These niggas don't know me. I don't fuck with the police. That would die in the rollie. Holy. Swing the block with a 40. UPK, I die for it. Fake groups having noticed. These niggas ain't holy.
When you look at life, there's only one truth, not multiple truths. That means truth ain't even true. You understand? And what is that truth? That the lost 12 tribes of Israel shall reign on earth, man. You understand me? We need hope. We got it. Let's go.
When them warriors come out, endure to the end, just for the blood of my eye. I'm talking about protect us of the people, black watch. Cry out, spare not one, where's my casket drop? When them warriors come out, backtrack to the fire. You a coward, you won't make it out. Fuck the Christian church, you bitches falling off. It's good together, the no finish out. Oppression make a wise man mad, so I put on all black and I take my ass to class. I was mobbing with the gas, fringes out the window while I'm fucking up the air. Vomit on my body looking like a couple rats. One West, we the motherfucking best. UPK against the world, ain't no motherfucking sweat. Israel come together, keep a shovel. White man is the devil, blaze on them UPK sweater in any weather. Told y'all bitches fuck with us and we gon' bring it back in blood. Why my cup empty, I'ma need 2 cups. How the strong, how the women, UPK, we one up. Ain't easy in the streets of heat, do like me. Harassed by police, no justice, no peace. Penitentiary, drug in our community. Knee up on our neck, officer, we can't breathe. And fuck the Christian church, you bitches, white supremacy. Know what I'm talking about? When them warriors come out, endure to the end, just for the blood of my eye. I'm talking about protect us of the people, black watch. Cry out, spare not one, where's my casket drop? When them warriors come out, backtrack to the fire. You a coward, you won't make it out. Fuck the Christian church, you bitches falling off. It's we're together, the no finish out.
Hey, when the warrior come out, yeah, blade build on you, get the sword to your mouth. There's some holes in this house, all I smell is straight pussy boy stuck up on the couch. Lot of talk, lot of hate, oh no, we not alike. I was born with a chopper, on a tiger with the stripes. Hey, use a zebra cake, girl. Oh, coon ass, cold love oppressors more than yours. I'ma keep that shit one west, fringes on my fucking vest, spikes all up on my head with that shit around my neck. I got some bad bitches too. I ain't focused on them hoes. All I want is my doubloons. Boots laced to the ground while you laced off some drugs. Using easy ass kill cause you're so emotional. Impeccable with it. Your lifestyle is unacceptable living. Sorry, baby, but these boys gotta hit us. I'm going to Kevin, I be gone for a minute, you know.
When them warriors come out, endure to the interest for the blood of my eye. Protect us of the people, black watch. Cry out, spare not, won't watch my casket drop. When them warriors come out, back out to the fire. You a coward, you won't make it out. Fuck the Christian church, you bitches falling off. It's put together, the no finish songs.
Hey, Genix, you going on?
Fighting for the kingdom, righteous leadership, show them how to slay them demons. Fighting for the kingdom, truth is my first life, I promise I would never leave it. Fighting for the kingdom, a dream of state street, my people never knew freedom. Blazing on the heathen, as long as I breathe, I will fight for the kingdom. Undefeated since 69, ain't no way to stop it, man. That's right. And you wanna ride the wave, no, we taking everything. That ain't no Mitri, and that ain't no garment. No. And your fringes be phony, and you ain't a real army. Hebrews making moves, bitch, I got time today. That's Get right. Your ass in class, keep the law, the Lord to keep you safe. Through the gates are language. In the hood I'm hanging. Life of a priest. Every day my life in danger. Tell me what you see when you see a young priest certified in the scripture, well known in the streets. When our people need water and need something to eat, where the fuck do Christians at? UPK is what they need. That's when you step to a priest, put some respect on it, nigga. Commanding General Yohana, put a check on them, nigga. It's roll like a pebble, we gon' flex on these Christians. It's the home of the truth, it's time to step on these bitches. Now I'm talking about fighting for the kingdom, righteous leadership, show them how to slay them demons. Fighting for the kingdom, truth is my first life, I promise I will never leave it. Fighting for the kingdom, a dream of state street, my people never knew freedom. Blazing on the heathen, as long as I breathe, I will fight for the kingdom. All the money that you got, bitch, ain't.
Straight out of hell.
2022, we still dying in the ghettos. We still dying in the reservation. We still dying in the burial.
Coming straight out of hell.
Christianity has failed us. Voting has failed us. Begging and pleading for a life has failed us. Loving everybody has failed us.
Straight out of hell.
Over 1,000 years later, we still begging and pleading to the oppressor to let our people go.
Coming straight out of hell.
The white man is the devil, and if he ain't, then who is, man? Never trusting our enemies. It's time to wake up, black man.
Straight out of hell.
Oppressor make a wise man mad. I walk the straight gate, never wish the way. What that means, I'm UPK. If you don't keep the laws without work, that ain't faith. Christianity gon' have your body stinking in the cake. Hold up, straight out of hell. Schools to jail cell, voting, protesting, fail. Yo, the iron cannon hell must prevail. Survivor get ate like an animal in the wild. White man is the devil, gotta train up a child. That's right. White lives don't matter to God, that's white lies. And that ain't Christ with blue eyes either, that's white lies. Prepare slaughter, death to all heathens, women and child. Kwam Yasha Allah is straight on the head. 2022, we still dying in the ghetto. We still dying in the reservation. We still dying in the burial.
Coming straight out of hell.
Christianity has failed us. Voting has failed us. Begging and pleading for a life has failed us. Loving everybody has failed us.
Straight out of hell.
Over 1,000 years later, we still begging and pleading to the oppressor to let our people go.
Coming straight out of hell.
The white man is the devil, and if he ain't, then who is, right? Never trusting our enemies. It's time to wake up, black man.
Straight out of hell. Live from the ghettos, burials, and reservations. We the Lord's chosen people, my nigga, that's revelation. Take ground with observation, feed the nation. Look, come, operation, bring back segregation, separation, perfect hatred. I hate the white man so much, I keep commandments. Fighting for the kingdom, so I make amendments. Watch the way I'm living, be ye perfect as the Father in heaven. We ain't Christian, a mission is Christianity, the works addiction. Submission to white supremacists, warriors turn feminine. Emasculine our sister, this ain't living, my nigga.
You don't gotta live like this. I was in your same position, man, a year ago. I was on drugs a year ago. I was homeless a year ago. I tried to ask you to pay me for anything I got my life's worth.
I drop that hard shit, these niggas soft, bitch. Break a motherfucker jaw shit. This that raw shit. UPK, bitch, I'm all in. Please don't start shit. One death, 120 flip a motherfucking arm, man. Hold up. I drop that hard shit, these niggas soft, bitch. Break a motherfucker jaw shit. This that raw shit. UPK, bitch, I'm all in. Please don't start shit. One death, 120 flip a motherfucking arm, man.
Whoever want to smoke, tell them bitches that I got plenty on my hot banner ride. So who that fucking with me? Whoa, to the bloody city, all my guns with me. Why my cup empty? That's the type of shit that finishes me. I heard these niggas snitching. You seen these niggas bitches. They can't protect their sisters and they don't know these scriptures. UPK records don't want no faggot in your picture. One West undefeated, still winning, bitch. We square up in it. The sky is the limit. My niggas want the kingdom. Home of the truth, and we still slaying these demons. Gotta stay woke, you get killed, they catch you dreaming. Ready for warfare when I was a little sinner. UPK warfare, we want all the smoke. Soldiers at the door, I be on free smoke. UPK warfare, we want all the smoke. All about that warfare, boy. 144.
I drop that hard shit, these niggas soft, bitch. Break a motherfucker jaw shit. This that raw shit. UPK, bitch, I'm all in. Please don't start shit. One breath, 120 flip a motherfucking arm, man. Hold up. I drop that hard shit, these niggas soft, bitch. Break a motherfucker jaw shit. This that raw shit. UPK, bitch, I'm all in. Please don't start shit. One breath, 120 flip a motherfucking arm, man. What you talking about? Babylon falling, and we gon' keep rolling. Babylon fall, we continue to roll, and we gon' keep rolling. These boys off, we don't fuck with y'all. Babylon falling in the streets, dying just to eat. Shots down by police, still hung on tree, protesting no peace. Lord set us free from the penitentiary. We don't pray on our knees, officer, we can't breathe. Still stuck on beat, our identity, we don't know who we be. This is what it sounds like when we ride on our enemy. Jacob pedigree, bury me a fucking priest. Can't turn a blind eye, how we gon' survive? UPK gotta leave. Can't build a nation when you love another nation. 2022, motherfuckers still racist. When you follow Christ, living right, you gon' be the most hated. White man is the devil, too many accusations. Babylon falling, book of Revelation. Follow commandments, wonder why you stranded. Babylon falling. And we gon' keep ballin'. Babylon fall, we continue to ball. And we gon' keep ballin'. These boys on, we don't fuck with y'all. Babylon falling, where I'm living, God get it, on a mission. Breaking down scripture with my niggas. One West and we keep on winning. Little winners ain't no more sinning. UPK come rise with me. All my young ride with me. Follow the kettle kind with it. UPK, that's life. Got the blood of an Israelite. Brother, that's hard to find. Home of the truth, no lie. No more weed, no more white. One West, what I'm living like. Lord knows I wasn't living right. Putting work for the most high. Are you ready for the welfare? One road, we can go there. Ain't no cowards in here. I can make it disappear. Fuck America, the end is near. Go to church if you scared. Only Father we fear. Fuck with the year, my people in tears. Ain't no motherfucking justice here. Tell me why you wanna lose your head. White man is a plague. You a devil drop dead. You can lose your leg. Paint the whole city red. Everything UPK. One West UPK. Warfare every day. Motherfucker, it's UPK. Babylon falling. And we gon' keep ballin'. Babylon fall, we continue to ball. And we gon' keep ballin'. Break the boys off, we don't fuck with y'all. Babylon fallin'.
Shalom Israel. This is the Isupk from my One West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command Junior Hana. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the only people in this earth that have been chosen by the Lord to have rulership over every goddamn thing, and that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. This is the Monday night history class. We're going to go ahead and start in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 15. So our people can understand, of course, why it is that we're in the condition that we're in today. So many of us in the world, we love to bring up how we got to end generational curses. How it is we got to stop these things from being passed on to the next generation, so on and so forth. But we don't really have an understanding as to why it is that we are cursed as a people. You understand? So we're going to get into that today. Does anybody have Deuteronomy 28:15? Just pass it on to the young man of the show. Yeah, 28:15.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. It shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments.
You understand? Meaning that there's going to be something that happens if us as a nation refuse to obey the Most High God of these scriptures right here. And you notice it doesn't say to hearken onto your politicians. It doesn't say to hearken onto your celebrities, onto the false prophets that have risen up within our nation, because none of them can save us from the condition it is we've been in for so long as a nation. Like, the only thing that can deliver us out of this hell, deliver us out of the hands of our oppressor and out of the hands of the heathens that seek to devour us so that they can become cool and mighty, is to turn to the God of these scriptures right here. That's the only way we can have salvation. The only way that we will have rulership, that we will be able to end the curses that's being passed down generation to generation, and that will continue to pass down to the generations until we get our act right. Go ahead. And slow down just a little bit. You're all right. You're right.
To observe, to do all his commandments
Uh-huh.
and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee.
And if us as a people, if we refuse to hearken unto the Lord, if we refuse to hear his warnings and how it is that you know, we're supposed to be living our lives by a very strict code, that curses will come upon us as a nation and they will overcome us, meaning that there will be no way to escape them. And that's exactly what has happened to us today. And of course, you know, you Christians, you fake Israelites hearing this, you're going to tell yourself, oh, well, you know, you see that's the problem. It's our fault we're in this condition. When in reality, well, you don't understand because you love everybody but your own. And because you don't know these scriptures and the spirit that's on these heathens, you don't understand that these heathens work against us as a nation to cause us to stray from the Lord. And that's something that will never be taught to you by that false prophet. It is that you so desperately cling on to. And just to further show, you know, we aren't just making things up here. Give me Psalms 83:3. Psalms 83:3. Because there is nothing new under the sun. So the hatred it is that these nations have for us as a people, like, it's going to always be there. It's not something that's just going to go away because the times are different, because it's a new year, because, you know, you had a good 4th of July or Juneteenth or Christmas. Like, that's not going to change the spirit that these nations have towards us. In every single nation, whether it's our oppressor, Moab, Ammon, Ishmael, Elam, Ham. Who else is there? Who am I missing? Amalek.
You know, Ukraine.
Edom.
Right, versus being
Right. I'm trying to keep it, you know, not trying to say specific names so we can try to have something for TikTok, you know. Clip, no, just for like screen recording clip, you know.
All heathens.
Yeah, right. All the heathens round about us, you know, they all understand that their nation will be able to thrive and to grow if they can keep us from following the law, statutes, and commandments. If they can keep us, you know, partaking in their culture and following their disgusting gods, which is why we have to wake up as a people, which is why we have to get this truth so that we can, you know, understand what is going on around us. Can I get that Psalms 83?
Sir. The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Who knows what this, you know, crafty counsel is? Go ahead, Tom.
They stole our identity.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, you know, they didn't dealt wisely with us, man. They didn't done wickedly with us, man. You know, joining together, you know what I'm saying, and dealing wisely with us, man. You know what I'm saying, by stealing our identity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, taking away our God.
Right.
By making Christ a blue-eyed devil.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And of course, like, there are just countless examples of how it is that, you know, they've chosen to deal wisely with us. They're all of their, you know, secretive, scheming ways so that they can force for us to, you know, forsake what it is that we've been given in these scriptures right here. Like, that's why it is that, you know, any instance it is you look up of, you know, oppression with Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, it's always some politician that is promising to be different, that is promising to love the Lord's chosen people, when in reality, he has nothing but hatred for the 12 tribes of Israel. and he will seek to destroy us in any kind of way, which is why we've been destroyed till this day. Because our oppressor, he understands, like I said, if he can, get for us to abandon our culture and our customs and our God and to take on the customs, culture, and gods of other nations, he understands that we will remain destroyed as a people. Go ahead.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Who knows what that consulted against thy hidden ones means?
Talking about the children of Israel, the hidden ones.
You understand? And what I wanted to touch on more specifically was, that's the right answer, but more specifically was his priests and prophets. You understand? Like that's why it is that the government will sit there and take a crooked cop and have him take off his blue and put on purple. Why it is that these fake Israelites are able to come up as they do, because the government has, of course, infiltrated, in the past has infiltrated the school and caused for weaker men to break off and go do their own thing and drop their swords. You understand? And that's, what's that called? Something pro. Good pro. Yeah, through what? Which of course we already know they did with Black Panthers, what other ever Black, Latino, and Native Indian organizations that are oppressors seen as a threat. Like they will always make sure that anyone that is coming up that has, some kind of discipline about them, or, is trying to establish some kind of authority within the nation, they'll always make sure that they destroy them. But one thing they failed at is destroying the Isupk under commanding General Yohana. You understand? Like the one man they should have been gunning for, they completely ignored, because for some odd reason they thought he was, a small fish. They instead they tried targeting the leaders at the time. But what they didn't understand, what they didn't understand is that there was an extremely mighty man that was coming up, that was set by the Lord to raise up this nation, and that is commanding General Yohana, the only man that had never dropped his sword in the school back in the day and continued on the traditions of one West. Go ahead.
Verse 4, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation.
And how did they cut us off from being a nation? They got us to eat pork.
Right.
They got us to worship the God of Christianity. They got us to celebrate Christmas and 4th of July. Even though, we've always been slaves in America, we still celebrate the independence of our oppressor from other oppressors. Like that's like it's something that seems so simple to us, such as eating pork or celebrating a birthday, so on and so forth. But like that's something that will separate you from your culture, from your identity, and it will cause for you to take on the identity of another nation, just as we have today. But what's the point?
No, sir. Just like that one scripture when they say they have forsaken our inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're doing when you're doing all these things. Understand? You are following the ways of the world. You are forsaking your heritage. You are giving up your identity. It will keep you separate, keep you holy. Understand? That will make you a holy people. That's what makes you strong, different from the rest.
Right.
By keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Understand? Not living like a goddamn animal.
Right.
Living filthy, like a goddamn beast, like the oppressor is. You understand? That's what makes you the Lord's chosen people.
Right.
Understand?
And of course, like we can't ignore how it is that our oppressor has sought to cut us off as a nation in the past. Like during the time of the Roman Empire, like it was the Romans who had certain people in places of power to, further whatever agenda it is that they had at that time. Like, just like Christian leaders today. You understand? And of course, if us as a nation, if we had refused to go and be as the Romans, then they would put us to death, or leave us unalive in our cities. Right. And which caused for us to flee down into Africa, which caused for us to flee down into Africa and start to take on the customs of the Africans or the Hamites, up until the point of, us being rounded up on them ships and sent over here to America, for us to be further destroyed with different, doctrines and philosophies and gods it is that we have never known before. Go ahead.
Sir.
You need to get something.
Sir, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
And until the Isupk came on the scene, that's exactly what happened. Like no, as a whole, like Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians did not recognize that they are the 12 tribes of Israel, the Lord's chosen people. Like, it took the teachings of Abba Bivens, you understand, and the knowledge that he learned from former slaves, and the teachings and the diligent, studying of the seven heads, going into these libraries and looking up artifacts and visiting these lands it is that we dwelled in as a people, and getting visions from the Lord. Like, it took all of this for us to be able to have this truth today, so that the name of Israel would not be cut off from the Lord. And that's why it is that it's so important for us to hold onto this truth so dearly. Like, it is the most precious thing in this earth, because without it, we have no identity. Like, we have no protection, no culture, no history. Like, we are nobody without this truth right here.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
Other people saying brothers sacrificed their lives for this, man. Just like the priests and prophets did back in the day.
You got that right. You understand? Brothers was unalived by a bunch of stinking Muslims, right, who hated the fact that their Quran would get kicked up and down the street. Right. When now look at them. You understand? Like, where was that rock at when he was on the decline? Right. Where's that rock at now that you're full of a bunch of old men and soothsayers? Like, you don't exist anymore. You understand? And it's all because a brother gave his life in order to keep this truth alive. And that's the same spirit that is passed down till this day to the brothers as well as the sisters here in the Isupk. Like, we would rather die before we allow for this truth to be bastardized by some, IUIC LGBT member. Like, we would rather die before we allow for some heathen to demean our culture and lie to us about who it is that we really are as a people. And that, like I said, like that's going to be passed down until the kingdom of heaven is established in this earth.
I was just going to say, that's why, like, we're not affiliated with any other group. Like, we don't have no accusations like these religious groups or
right.
Faith groups. We don't have them accusations. Due to their accusations, we're going to find that the Isupk is blameless.
Right.
This is of the Lord. I'm talking about everything from Malcolm X to Muslims and all that. They don't have accusations. They
right.
go around with drug dealers and all that stuff. But us, we sustain from evil. You understand? That's what makes us separate from the rest. That's why not anybody can just be Isupk. You got to go through these ranks and structures.
Right.
So that yourself is worthy, that you rid yourself of the world. You understand? Because we are blameless.
The scripture said to be blameless, without blemish. Understand? That's what we gotta be. We gotta be perfect in here. Understand? And if you don't want to be perfect, you can go to the religious groups.
Right.
You don't have to be perfect. But you can just feel good. Or they just take something that makes you feel good. You understand? Or they'll tell you something and you don't have to do it. You understand? But here, you got to do it. You understand? Here is about action. You understand? That's it.
So most in Christ. Was that it on that? Was that verse 5?
Wow, sir. Right there.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. But they have consulted together with one consent.
Yeah, so all of these nations that was round about us, like they were all on the same page as far as destroying, you understand, our identity as a people, as far as destroying our, families and communities and nation as a whole. Like that's why it baffles me to this day why it is that brothers and sisters will go out and get them any heathen as a husband or wife when they've all played a hand in our destruction. Even if you don't want to take it back to biblical days, like they do it till this day. That's why it is they can come into our communities and rob us blind with their convenience stores and gas stations, liquor stores, the hair stores, the nail salons, so on and so forth. Like they don't take that money and put it back into the Black, Latino, or Native Indian community, but they'll take it to build up their communities. Go ahead, Paul.
Just looking at the LGBTQ,
Right.
The Christian Church, and Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Now you got to flag all into one. You know what I'm saying? Doing the same purpose of destroying Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
Understand? Soon you're going to be saying the same thing on Juneteenth. They all play hand in hand. You understand? Destroying Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? And that's what's the difference from us. We don't join with other organizations. We are separate. Because, as you can see, you go see it. You can go downtown and see that. The Christian church, you got a Black Lives Matter fist and a rainbow flag. Understand? Because they all join in hand. They are all competitive against you, Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian. Understand? And not only that, they are working with white supremacy.
Right.
Christianity is white supremacy. Understand?
So like a whole group of false prophets is crooked cops.
Hey, damn right, damn right.
You understand that cover up the abuse and unaliving of a sister in the UK.
Good, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you can Google these accusations, man.
Right.
The only thing you can Google behind UK is the work of the Lord.
Right.
And we might get sued for going out to the street corners for trying to wake up our people. You understand? They really hate that. You understand? But Christians could be out there with a speaker. You understand? You got freedom of speech. But it's only a problem when you love your brothers and sisters.
Right.
Because anybody can go out to the street corner and have a microphone and speak. It's only a problem when we do it. Because we are doing the will of the Lord. And they hate. And if we went out there and said, what's an example I want? Talking bad, you know what I'm saying? Or that we should all come together and that we all should love each other, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
We are teaching that Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, Lord of social people, that we need to separate from them. And we may flourish and get up out of this captivity. That's the problem.
Right. No, that's heavy you bring that up, because I don't think, people understand that the Isupk is not the only organization that specifically targets Blacks to build up. Like, it was heavy because Joe Muhammad had brought it out, and was it last class or a few classes ago, how it is that the NAACP, like, they target Blacks to build up, build them up. Like, they give money specifically to the African American community to build it up. Like what's that called? The Bilderberg Group. It's like some Jewish organization that specifically defends Amalek in the courts and specifically has funds set aside for Amalek in order to help build up their communities, in order to help get them out of any kind of sticky situation. But it's only because we tell Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, it's only because we tell our people that we're more than just niggas, more than just spics and uncivilized savages, more than what it is that our oppressor has tried to build us into. Like, we are the Lord's chosen people, and we are here to build up our communities in a righteous way. Not in however America wants for them to be built. Like, we're here to turn our people back to our culture. When I thought America was accepting of all cultures, isn't this the big melting pot? It is, where people of all colors and creeds and religious backgrounds can come together and dwell in unity. So why is it that we're always the ones that are being persecuted for our beliefs, when all we do is just speak the word of God out of the Bible? That's literally all we do. Like Officer Kumapar said, like, you can look up anything about us, and you're not going to see how it is that we can say you can rape your wife. You're not going to see that we cover up the rape and murder of sisters. You're not going to see that we're stealing money from brothers and sisters. And you're not going to see that we, are sleeping with transsexuals. Like, all the things it is that these break-off groups, these false prophets do, like, we don't do any of that. But yet we're viewed as a hate group. We're viewed as being the worst in the Israelite community, when the only Israelite community is the ISUPK. It's all you break-offs is just a bunch of bastards. Go ahead.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Me and they're all in agreement. Drop that. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 16. What's up?
I want to read some scriptures today. I just want to have read it well.
Oh yeah. Pull Deuteronomy 28 and 16.
28 and 16 Deuteronomy?
Mm-hmm. I'll say, and if anyone's ever got it, just raise your hand and say that you got it. Mm-hmm. You got it? Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Slow down. I say, just make sure after every comma or colon, take a pause. So it's just not like a continual reading. Stop like after every comma, brother, break it down, and you'll continue reading. Okay. But I want to touch on that curse shall be in the city. Of course, we already know how it is that America has, burned down and flooded countless, black cities, through the different massacres it is that our oppressor has done to us, and ultimately covered them up in history. So we can always think that we haven't had anything as a people, how we've never been able to have any kind of infrastructure, how we've had no success in anything other than being a servant to our oppressor. It's like, you understand? When like the destruction of our cities, like it didn't start here in America. Like, it didn't start with Black Wall Street or none of that. Like, it started during the time of the Romans, like specifically during 70 AD. You understand, when Rome had sieged Jerusalem. Like, Like there was no safe place for us to go from the hands of these devils that only wanted our destruction. Like the siege of Jerusalem, man, it was so bad. Like there are, counts, of course, of how it is that brothers and sisters would have to eat, the leather from their shoes. You understand how it is that they would have to boil their belts and get it soft enough so they could tear into it with their teeth, so they could have some kind of, substance on, or just something on their stomachs, because of course in a siege, you're not able to get goods in and out. And our oppressor had so little mercy on us that whenever we came to him saying how we wanted peace, how it is, that we were starving and dying of thirst in the city, instead of him allowing for us to come out, he would turn us back. So we'd have to continue to go through those horrible conditions. So we would remain in that hell, and so we would never come up against him again. And really, it's not even coming up against them. They wanted to exterminate us, just like how America wished that they could exterminate Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. I mean, like the siege of Jerusalem was so bad that there was, of course, mobs of brothers and sisters breaking into homes. But there's a story specifically, like how it talks about how some brothers had smelled, meat coming from a sister's home. You understand? And they wanted it so bad they had kicked in her door. But when they lifted up the lid of that pot, her baby was in there. Like that sister was starving so bad, either the child had died from malnutrition, or she had killed it so that she could have something on her stomach. And that's just the condition that our oppressor had put us in then. Like there was an opportunity for us to get out of there. Of course, not only when Christ had warned us that it was going to happen, but also, with us coming to our oppressor during the siege. Like he could have shown us some kind of compassion. Like he could have pitied us just enough to allow for us to make some kind of treaty, or to allow some resources to come in or something. But instead, he got the reports of how it is that we were eating shoes and devouring our children. And instead of him saying, let's lift the siege, we'll go ahead and make them it's like I forget what it's called, but it's when one nation basically hands over their like rights and their land to another people, but they're still allowed to be like a nation. They're just ruled by another people. It's something the Romans always did with every other nation they came across that they would conquer. Like they would allow for them to remain a people, be able to call themselves by their nation's name, but the Romans would be running. But instead of them showing us that kind of mercy, they sought to completely wipe us out. That's why it is that we had to flee into North Africa. Because if we didn't, then they would have, wiped us all out. And of course, it's not just with the black cities. It is that such atrocities have been done to us, but the Latino as well. Like there are a few books I got at home that let like how it is that the Latinos, when Columbus had first invaded these lands, how they had the most beautiful cities he had ever seen. Like there were cities so vast and so wonderful and just more advanced than the Europeans. Like they had cities just floating on water. and had all of the riches it is that anybody could ever imagine. But yet, when our oppressor invaded these lands, he took absolutely everything, and whatever he couldn't take, he burned down. And we wonder why it is that the lands of South America are in such a terrible condition. It's because they have been robbed for everything, not just when Columbus first invaded, but throughout their generations. You understand? Like our oppressor, he will take and take, and even when he has everything, he will take some more. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket.
No, read 16.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in thy field.
And of course, I mean, I'm sure we all know how it is that our forefathers were once slaves. Well, we're still slaves, but it's more physical, than it is now. And of course, like it didn't just end when we were so-called emancipated, from that bondage. Like it continued on, so much so that our oppressor, he passed an amendment to allow for his slavery of Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians to continue. Go ahead.
And if you think about it today too, we still cursing the cities. You know what I'm saying? Every time you go out there, you see homeless of Blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians out there, while the oppressor having a good time. Or George Floyd, you know what I'm saying, getting slaughtered right there in the middle of the city, downtown, man. And then if you think about the field, we don't have no crops, we don't have no food, we don't have no land of our own. That's the oppressor. We're still cursing the land and field today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's heavy, Quan. That's just to show that nothing has ever changed.
Right.
Like America likes to make us think that they're progressive and that they're open-minded to different things and are the goddamn, like they're the image it is to promote of being civil, of being merciful to another nation, when in reality they have been brutalizing Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians for over 400 years. And that brutalization is they do to our people, like, it's not going to stop unless us as a nation make them stop by turning back to the Lord. Like there are no guns it is you can pick up, no type of training you can get. You can't, connect to the chakras or the stars and expect to be delivered. There is only one power in this earth that can deliver us out of this captivity and out of this hell, and that is the Most High God of the Bible, and that's it. Just like he brought down Egypt for the sake of his people, and just like he's brought down countless other nations so that Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians can be free, he will do the same with America. He'll do the same with Canada. He'll do the same with the UK, with France, Germany, Russia, whoever it is that has beef with the 12 tribes, the Lord will handle that. All we have to do is turn back to our power and accept our culture and our identity for what it is, which is the Lord's chosen people. Go ahead. Oh wait, no, Salaki. I didn't even touch on this. You understand? And just like how we were serving our oppressor in the fields then, like we do that till this day. Like let's not forget that the Hispanics. Is that what you're gonna say?
Nah, let's finish your point, but I got something else.
Okay.
All right, I thought about that.
You understand? Because like let's not forget that the Hispanics, our Latino brothers, Like they are slaving away in our oppressors' field for nothing. Like I looked up today, just a very simple Google search. How much do tomato pickers get paid? And of course, article came up saying how it is that America uses immigrants, which we know they're talking of Latinos when they say that. And it said that if they fill a 32-pound barrel full of tomatoes, they only get paid 50 cents for that one barrel. Imagine being out there all goddamn day and you only get one barrel full. And you only get 50 cents per day. How the hell are you supposed to live off of that? Like our oppressor, not only does he understand how his nation stays afloat by slaving out the Lord's chosen people, but he understands that if he keeps us in poverty, then he can get for us to continue to sin against the Lord. So when people are in poverty, what are they going to do? They're going to go out and they're going to rob in order to get what money they need to support their family. They're going to go out and sell drugs. They're going to go out and pimp. Sisters are going to war. Like, you do anything in order to be able to feed your family. And of course, our oppressor is an excellent example of that. Like when the Italians first came over here and they created their mob families, that was because they were poor. They was trying to get some kind of income in order to support their families. So what they do, they went out and they stole, they extorted, they sold drugs, they murdered, they pimped. They did everything in their power in order to receive bigger crumbs than they had. Hey, show me Christ cap. You want the class cap?
Will you read it? Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, sure. Oh. You know Christ, huh? Yeah, but should Verse 18. Verse 17. Oh, so I'm gonna say even.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Hey, Sly, I can make sure whenever a brother salutes you, you salute him back. You understand? That's the tradition of going west. That's what it is that Christ had taught us. Whether you say Shalom Rakhtah, Shalom Christ, it don't matter. You understand? But that's our traditions in this school. Right. You know the salute.
It's in here if you want to study it.
He know that, Cap. He said it to me fluently.
So you said the whole.
Here, let me take a picture of that. That's what I'll do. What point was you gonna bring up for him?
God, sir, like we curse in the field. We still in prison picking cotton in some states. You know what I'm saying? And Mississippi and stuff like that. It's still working in the field. You know what I'm saying? But a little bit, and like, bro, you don't get nothing in prison.
Right.
You don't like. It's like all the Hispanic brothers, man. Like everything they do, they risk their lives whenever goddamn people. Less than like, man, make a little bit of money. You understand? But like you said, they are in so much poverty that they'll take any job. You know what I'm saying? They'll take any goddamn job. You know what I'm saying? Even in Florida right now. Right now, they all, like they had a little thing where the government was trying to deport all the, Hispanic brothers.
Yeah.
So now they looking for workers. The state of Florida is mad. You know what I'm saying? With the government. Because now they got to pick their own goddamn tomatoes.
Right.
Stuff like that, man. And that's what tells you, man, we come out of the hell out of America, separate our ways from this place is going to fall overnight.
Right.
Like I said, they're going to have to do the work, man. You understand? The only thing we need to stay focused on is doing the work of the Lord, and serving the Lord.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's so heavy you brought that out, because our president, he will allow for his empire to fall just because he wants to afflict the children of Israel just a little bit more. Like, the deportations and all that. You understand? And I'm glad you brought up the prisons, because it slipped my mind. Like, they use brothers that aren't even rightfully convicted, that have been charged with a crime they haven't committed. They use them to do the most dangerous of jobs for damn near free. And saying it's damn near just like what the Latinos get paid for picking 32 pounds of tomatoes. You know, like let's not forget they were using Black and Latino brothers to put out the wildfires out there in California. You understand? Like risking their lives, risking being, maimed for life from them fires, risking, having their lungs permanently destroyed, all so that they could, get some kind of time off their sentence, all because our oppressor had guaranteed to them brothers that they would have a job when they got out of prison. But yet when they got out, there was nothing waiting for them. But instead, they went ahead and spent the money to train, new oppressors that didn't have any idea what they was doing when it came to them fires. Meanwhile, the Black and Latino brothers, they had all the hands-on experience one could ever ask for. And they got nothing for putting their lives on the line for this disgusting country. Go ahead.
That was it on that other one.
Okay. Let me get 28 and 17.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy sword.
And of course, we already know how it is that Martin Luther King worked for our oppressor and destroyed our businesses, our stores. But like one thing we kind of look past when it comes to this is how it is that we get profiled and persecuted by the other nations when we have to go into their stores. Like let's not forget how an entire race riot had started because a bunch of what are they? Koreans is Ammon, right, Cap?
Say it again.
Koreans is Ammon, right? Ammon or Moab?
Ammon is Japanese, Moab is Chinese.
Yeah, Koreans come from Ammon, right?
Which ones? You got the North Koreans and the South Koreans. I believe they most of the North are Chinese, and then most of the South are Japanese.
Okay.
So it's kind of mixing on that.
Okay.
Ammon or Moab for sure.
Right. Either one. We know it's one or the other. You understand? Because a bunch of Moabites or Ammonites had chosen to gun down some poor sister, you understand, Latasha Harlan, who came into their disgusting store to buy some orange juice for herself. And the store clerk had accused her of stealing, even though she has the money right there in her hand to give her. And that disgusting heathen shot her in the back of the head. And let's not forget, the same thing happened recently with a young brother that was 14 years old, whose name was Cyrus. You understand? Who was accused of stealing inside of an Asian shop, and the owner ended up chasing him down and shot him in the back and killed him. You understand? Like, we can't go into any of our oppressors or heathens' establishment without them looking for a way. All right. Okay. Without them looking for a way to destroy the Lord's chosen people. So like, and one thing I had looked up while I was a slave, you understand, like there was this devil during the time of when America was relocating the tribe of Gad, so-called Native Indians. His name was Andrew Myrick. So he was a devil who, had stores and would allow for Gadites to buy his goods on credit. You understand? He had him a Gadite wife, a beautiful sister. I'm sure she was. You understand? He gave to the community. That sounds like a good devil, don't it, Paul? You understand? I'm sure he'd be invited to the cookout, wouldn't he? Right? You understand? Yeah, he gotta love you because he's sleeping with a sister. You understand? Meanwhile, when this devil found out that the government wasn't going to, give the tribe of Gad their, their, like they would pay them every month. Like when he found out that the government wasn't going to pay, wasn't going to pay the tribe of Gad, instead of him allowing for them brothers and sisters to get what they needed in order to survive, because at the time we were starving to death and dying of thirst, instead of him letting us get what we needed, he let us know how he really felt about us as a people. And who knows what it is that he had told the gang of, I don't want to say gang, but the brothers that came to him asking him for help. Who knows what it is that he told them? You actually know for him, or you just trying to put something together? So you Googling it over there?
Nah. So I was gonna take a guess, sir.
Okay.
Basically tell them that you probably can't get no food because you're helping out Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You're helping out,
Mm-hmm. That's very close. He told them brothers that if they are so hungry, they should go eat grass or their own dung. He showed us the hatred it is he had for us that day, and that was his last day. Because them brothers, they were tired of the oppression it is they were going through by the hands of not only that devil, but of course all of the devils that had some advantage over them, all the devils who were getting funding from the government. And they dragged that devil out into the streets, and they took grass and they shoved it down that animal's throat and stuffed his mouth full of it and left him unalive there in the streets, and took what they needed in order to survive. You understand? And that's what happens when you oppress people. When you rob them of everything, they will take any drastic measure in order to survive, in order to make sure that their families are not wiped out, even though they know that through their actions, our oppressors only going to come down harder on them. You understand? And through them doing that, of course, our oppressor not having any compassion or understanding, he didn't look and see how it is that store owner had treated them like animals and told them go die a slow and painful death. You understand? Instead of America, they decided to go to war with them brothers and push them out of their lands and to massacre their families. You understand? Which, of course, we got to thank the Isupk, because without this truth, it's hard telling, the measures it is our people would have taken in order to survive in these lands. When us in this truth here, we show brothers how it is that, of course, we can survive. And that's by turning to the Lord, by changing our lives and not being how our oppressor wants us to be. Go ahead. That's
verse 18.
Skip to 19.
Help out. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
So imagine going, not even just going into lands. Imagine being born and being cursed from the beginning. Imagine, you coming into this earth and you have a mother that hates your guts. You understand? That will pick you out to every single boyfriend that comes in and out of her house, that will, let you puff on her blunts because she is a destroyed drug addict. Imagine, just all the horrific things it is that we are born into. And no other nation, goes through that. You understand? No matter what condition it is that they're in, no, Hamite nation is going through that. No oppressor nation is, None of these heathens are. It's only the 12 tribes of Israel. And what it is that we go through, like, we just have to look at that like it's something that's normal. It's to be accepted within our communities. It's a condition you have to fight to get out of. You got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. When in reality, what you have to do is you got to turn to the Lord. Like you would better hope and pray that in your next life that your parents are in this truth. Otherwise, you're going to be a crackbait. You're going to be in a dumpster somewhere, or you're going to be on some animal's, dissection table because your mother wanted to go have a hot girl summer. Like, we're the only people that have to go through this. Go ahead,
Imagine you going out into the streets, you end up like George Floyd or Trayvon Martin. Or imagine you just stayed in the house and you end up like Breonna Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Or you end up like that 11-year-old in Mississippi that got shot by the police in his own house. You know what I'm saying? Like, you curse everywhere. You curse outside, you curse inside. Like, you curse everywhere you go if you don't serve the Lord. You know, it don't matter where you at. You understand? You fight your own damn demons, man. You understand? That's why it's so important that you keep these laws that you matter, because you may be cursed to leave in your house. You understand? But that's just a receipt. She didn't do nothing wrong. She didn't deserve to get shot without in her sleep.
Right.
You don't have the protection of the Lord if you're not keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. I don't give a damn where you at. I don't give a damn if you're on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Hey, earthquake might happen or something. You know what I'm saying? You never know. That's why it's so important. The only protection that we got is the scripture, man. This is the blueprint to guide us through life. You understand? Because without these two, we don't have any protection.
Right.
You understand? It's simple as that. You're not safe in America. If I could, you're not safe in America. You're not safe in the grocery store. You're not safe at the movie theater. You're not safe at the mall. You're not safe at the park. You understand? The only protection is with those statutes. And that all this stuff happened to those who don't want to serve the Lord. You understand? Maybe it don't matter from old to young. You understand? And some of them, it's not their fault. Some of them just don't know this Bible. Some of them will just never talk this Bible. And some of us will never get to talk this Bible. You know what I'm saying? They still have to pay for it. You understand? That's why we got to do this work and push this truth. You understand? That even our young won't get taken from us. But it happens all the time. It happens just because a wicked woman had an abortion. You understand? Now that child got to pay. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, man. That was the other one.
Yeah, that's heavy. You understand? And of course, brothers and sisters, like they thought that they can run from these curses by going into other lands. When you go into the land, you usually get oppressed by another nation. Like, you end up in the same condition that you was running from. Really, you just worse off because now you have nobody you can depend on. Go ahead. Skip to 28 and 23.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
Of course, we already know this is talking about the prison system. Like, and let's not forget that brothers and sisters used to get locked up in the past because they used the tone it is an oppressor wouldn't like, that they deemed is disrespectful. And of course that goes in today of all of the false arrests it is that the police do every single day on brothers and sisters. Right? You understand? And like it doesn't help that our people turn to so-called leaders that do not show us, like how it is we're supposed to be conducting ourselves. Like if these false prophets, if they were really of the Lord, like they would show our people how it is that we're not supposed to be murdering or lying or stealing, or being drug dealers, drug addicts, all of the things it is that we do that leads to our destruction, like they would steer us away from that. But instead, they've chosen to fill their pockets so they can, in their minds, be better than the niggas it is that they're living beside. That's why it is that a bunch of false prophets can take off the blue and put on purple, because America has promoted, you know, that spirit of betraying your people. Go ahead.
Verse 24.
Skip to 30.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
And that sounds just like all you sisters who are just like Kiki Palmer. You understand? Like you would willingly and gladly sleep with a homosexual that has herpes. Like, and so many of you sisters, like you would be upset at your man for checking you for grinding up against that, you know, just disease-riddled abomination. Just as, you know, I'm sure Kiki Palmer did when she got home. You understand? Like that's not the spirit it is we're supposed to be having as a people, right? If you know, that's why in these scriptures the Lord lets you know that once a man and woman lay together, like, you know, for sisters that's now your husband, and for brothers that's now your wife, and you cannot leave one another. You understand? Like, you know, there shouldn't be anything it is that should come between the two of them. And we wonder why it is that there's so many STDs floating around in the Black community. Because so many of us have been taught by Christianity that it's okay to test the waters. It's okay to be young and to jump around until you find the right one. When in reality, all you're gonna do is just spread disease amongst the community. Right? That's why it is that it was like what, 2 women and a man, or 3 women and a man that had sued Usher for giving them herpes because they were just testing the waters. Like, they just wanted to see if Usher was the one. You understand? Go ahead.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
And of course, it's because sisters are always throwing their man out the house, because America has told our women that you don't need a Black, Latino, or Native Indian man in the house. That you're better off because you can get assistance from us in order to live. We'll protect you with our police force, with our government assistance. We'll give you whatever it is that you need. Just put that man out. And like us as men, like we have to really start taking into account the women it is that we go after. Like brothers have to start really thinking of, like, if you want to have a child with that woman, you understand? Like if you can see yourself really being with that woman, because at the end of the day, like there are consequences for your actions. Like there's consequences that come with laying with just anybody. And when you get put on child support, when you contract herpes or AIDS because your girl was testing the waters, you know, when your life is ultimately destroyed because you just wanted to jump in bed with, you know, the sister that looked good when you was off the liquor, you're going to come to regret your actions. Like there's a form of responsibility it is that we have to have as a people. And of course, that starts here in the ISUPK, because we are the only ones that hold ourselves accountable, the only ones that teach any kind of discipline or responsibility, the only ones that will show you how to pick a wife. Like, we're the only ones that do that. Go ahead.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
Just like Farm said, we don't have any crops Damn near all the black farmers was, ran off a long time ago by law-abiding citizens of America. It was ran off by vigilantes and those that look up to in the community. But
good, sir. But then the ones that do have all the land, they selling it to the oppressor.
Right.
Like I know so many blacks, like the grandfathers and grandmothers and stuff with all this land, and just will not give it to pass it down to their family.
Right.
Or if they do pass it down to their family, they are selling it. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know how to keep it in the generation. They don't know nothing of that, man. You know what I'm saying? But the oppressor, they're gonna pass it down to their children. They are still living off the oppressor from destroying us on the goddamn Atlanta slave trade.
Right.
They're still eating off of that.
Right.
You understand? But we, oh no. That's because we don't have this Bible. Our children don't have an inheritance. You understand? When he grow up, he's gonna have to go ahead and bust his, work hard and hope for a better future. Because he don't have an inheritance. With ISUK, our children got an inheritance.
Right.
And he's gonna have his identity back. And he's
Right.
gonna know who he is.
Right.
You understand? They're gonna know how to govern a nation. You understand? That's what it's about.
So, and our oppressor, he's so slick that, like, he understands that if he keeps us in poverty, like you said, like they had to sell the land, it's because we're too goddamn poor to be able to manage the land. Like our oppressor knows all he has to do is just make the tax for land a certain amount, and we won't be able to afford it. And then he can go ahead and get that, and he can either keep it for his state or his county, or he can sell it off to a farmer. Like that's just some of the, sly tactics it is our oppressor uses to oppress our people and to further destroy us. And with that, what's up? I can't. With that, I'm gonna pass the class over. Priest and officer 500 for my car.
Security, ISUK security announcements. We're the ISUK, started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment, Numbers 18 to 21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in Hebrew, Ma'aseh, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Get to the treasury department or teacher, priest funds. We were offered for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like, upcoming holy convocation.
Look at Midwest Barbecue, July, end of this month.
Yeah, we also got the Midwest Barbecue from July 28th, I believe, July 30th. Make sure you get there. Also going to be having a Commander doing your hunting, the lecture, scripture breakdown class, and cross alarm radio. You don't want to miss out.
The next high holy day is Memorial Blowing of Trumpets, September 15th.
September 15th, Memorial blowing of the trumpets. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headbands, scarf. With that, a module, which means to ride. The Congo Hakudami turn the face to east.